Welcome to part 2 of the Delta Stryker scope test. So we got out to the range, got everything set up. Let's take a look at this real quick and then we'll come back in here to the shop and talk a little bit more about the scope. Okay, we're out here at 100 yards and we took a plumb bob and made sure that that center line that we drew in that target is absolutely perfectly leveled. So we've got everything set up. I'm going to run a couple fouling shots through this thing real quick while I'm testing out some of this different hearing protection while I'm at it. And then we're going to see how this thing tracks. Up 2.5 mils. Up 5 mils. Okay, now we'll come down to 0. There's my 0 stop, and we've gone up a total of 7.5. We've gone left, we've gone right, and now I'm taking the last 2 shots back at the original aim point, which we've never left that aim point, but I'm going to fire the last 2 shots to make sure it's right back where it should be. So one thing I wanted to mention was the reticle that we use on this, or that came with this particular scope here. This scope came with the DLS-1. Now they have some other options, 2 other options for this particular scope, but Delta also makes other scopes in first focal plane. This is a second focal plane scope, which doesn't bother me. It ranges at 40 power. I did test that today just to make sure that all my hash marks lined up with my target that we used, and it lines up absolutely spot on. So this has a center dot that is void around it, so it's just a super fine, and by the way, this reticle is extremely fine, which is great because it doesn't cover up, you know, your target. So I do like that. That is one thing I really do like about a second focal plane scope. But I can go either way, first or second focal plane. It doesn't bother me either way. You just have to know how to use them. So, all in all, this turned out really good. I'm super impressed with this scope so far. We're still going to get a little bit more time behind it, get a little bit more, you know, some more rounds down it, take it out further, longer ranges, make sure that everything that we're dialing is spot on. But let's take a look at this tracking test and see how that actually turned out. We're going to take a closer look at this here in just a second, but I do have a quick disclaimer. It had nothing to do with the scope. It actually had everything to do with the weather and really bad strings to hang your target. This is our fine string collection here that doesn't hold targets up very well. So unfortunately what happened was the target actually shifted just a little bit. Gust of wind came through, target shifted. I was paying attention to the bubble level on the scope, which is spot on, but what I wasn't paying attention to was my center line that I had set up with a plumb bob on at the 100-yard mark. So that's on me. So I went ahead and reshot it. So we can see here I zeroed this just taking some fouling shots, and I'm just a little bit high. So I came over here, took a shot, still just a little bit high. Went ahead and thought, okay, well, that's fine. I can, as I'm shooting, if I'm a little high, I'll know why. So I came up 2.5 mils. I took that first shot and drilled the bullseye right here. Came up here, and elevation was spot on, but you can see the bullet impacted a little bit to the right. And let's go up a little higher here. So here, this bullet hole that has an X through it was still also off to the right a little bit. I then dialed over here and took a shot. Notice I have another X here in the bullet hole. What happened here was the target had actually shifted a little bit, right? So I went ahead and just started over, made my adjustment, shot a 3-shot group right here. That 3-shot group in the red shot a .270. I then came all the way back up to 7.5 mils and shot, and I'm just outside of the red here, but from the center of the red to the bullet hole actually only measures .370, so not bad at all. Come over here to number 5 shot, and boom, drilled the bullseye. Down here to number 6, I've got .434 from the center of the bullseye to the center of the hole, so still very acceptable, under a ½ inch from center. And then we come over here to number 7. Number 7 is drilled right in dead center of the bullseye. Come up here to number 8, and I'm .356 from the center of the bullseye. Again, don't forget the aim point has always been right here. All we're doing is aiming here and dialing the scope and hitting different places. So then I came back down in shots 9 and 10, and shots 9 and 10 are touching our first shot after the adjustment and after we got this target replumbed. So that's how this scope performs. That is spot on. One thing I should have done is I should have paid attention to the crosshairs in the scope being lining up here vertically with my line that I've drawn on the target, rather than paying attention to the bubble level, not realizing the target had shifted just a little bit. Otherwise I wouldn't have had to reshoot this. I just don't want anybody to think that those X'd out holes are a scope problem. Absolutely not. That scope performed flawlessly. The glass is amazing, the turrets are amazing. I don't have anything bad to say about this scope whatsoever. I'm very happy with it. So that's how that scope performs. I really wish that I could get you guys some really good footage looking through the scope, and I'm trying to set up, I've got a little tool here, a little attachment that I'm trying to get this thing set up so that you guys can actually see down through the scope. Either way, even if I can get that really good footage for you, it's not going to tell you how good the glass is. It's just something that you have to see firsthand. The glass is absolutely, in my opinion, it's right up there in the tier 1 category. Is really, really good glass. So it's up there with like Tract Optics with their shot glass. It's right up there with them. It's right up there with the the Vortex razors, all that stuff. In fact, I think it just edges them out just a little bit. So, but that's not knocking other scopes by any means. But it is a lot of it has to do with that 34mm tube. That really just opens things up. It's the only way I can compare a 34mm tube to like a 30mm tube is looking through your old BB gun scope that was 3/4 of an inch, and then when the 1-inch tubes came out, you went, oh wow, that's a lot better. And then the 30mm tubes came out, and you went, oh man, that's better. Well, that's what the 34mm versus a 30mm is like. It's just really, really brightens things up, makes things a lot more crisp. It's just nice. So that'll conclude part 2 of our Delta Optics Stryker HD scope, 5 to 50 by 56, 34mm tube, second focal plane. I don't know if they're going to be available in the U.S. or not yet, but I believe it's still actively being worked on and pursued. I really hope that they can get here. They definitely have a market in the United States, hands down in my opinion. So now we're going to get this scope out, do a lot more shooting with it, long range, shoot some competition, get some more footage. We're going to do a follow-up review, might be a few months, because we really want to put this thing through the paces and make sure it's going to continue to perform. I've had a lot of good scopes in the past that let me down after a short amount of time, so we want to make sure that that is not the case with this Delta scope. I really don't think it's going to be the case at all. I think that this scope it's going to be a winner. So thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned. I got some more videos coming up this weekend on lots more products, and we're still working on that 6.5 Creedmoor load development videos, so we'll be working on that too. Catch you next time.